Hello, everyone. Your girl Tay here from Let's Talk Wild, bringing you some more animal news. This time, the CDC issues new rules for dogs traveling to the United States. So, we are going to get into the release of the information that they have. They are prepping all pet owners, dog owners for these new rules that will be effective August 1st of this year, 2024. So, before we get into that, make sure you guys like the stream, share the stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more breaking animal news and research. Okay, turn on your post notifications so you guys can be notified when I go live. It's been a couple of days since I went live. I had to recharge. Mother's Day was a lot, being social. I went out, it was a lot, so I had to recharge. Okay, we are going to we are going to get into the particulars of the effective new rules that will be effective on August 1st with the dogs. So it's like so much to break down, but we're going to get it together, and I'll have timestamps for everyone that just wants to skip ahead. If certain rules don't apply to you and your dog, you can be able to skip to the section that does apply to you. Okay. So new rules. Okay. Let's bring me down. Okay, so this is the USDA, okay, to bring a pet into the United States. The Centers for Disease and Control, temporarily suspended importing dogs from high-risk rabies, places, right? And it's effective through July 31st, through 2024. See, and then literally the next day, August 1st, you got the new rules that, are in place, right? So, bringing a dog into the United States. Okay, so the CDC issues regulations to control the entry of dogs into the United States from other countries. These rules apply to all dogs, including puppies, service animals, and dogs that left the United States and are returning. They also apply whether you are a U.S. citizen, legal U.S. resident, or foreign national. Okay, so if you don't follow the CDC rules, your dog won't be allowed to enter the United States. This is very serious. I need you guys to understand that, your dog may be turned away, and you don't want that. So, yes, y'all got to make sure y'all up to date on all of these type of requirements, rules, regulations. Everything is always changing, honey, but that's why I'm here to bring y'all the information, okay? So, determining what is needed to bring a dog into the United States. The requirements to bring a dog here depend on when your dog will arrive in the United States, where your dog has been in the 6 months before arriving in the U.S., where your dog received its rabies vaccination if required. To enter the U.S., your dog will be required to meet specific criteria. Okay, use DogBot to determine what rules apply to your dog based on the dates of travel and where your dog is traveling from. Okay, so they do have dog bot on the CDC website, where you guys can, I believe, put in your credentials, and it will let you know, look, what you need. Okay, so why entry of dogs to the United States? Why is it controlled? Rabies is over 99% fatal and 100% preventable. Okay, the U.S. eliminated dog rabies in 2007, but dog rabies is not controlled in over 100 countries, creating a risk to the United States in imported dogs. Through regulation, CDC strives to protect American families, communities, and pets by preventing the reintroduction of dog rabies in the U.S. Preventing infected dogs from entering the U.S. is a public healthy priority. Okay, public health priority. Each dog imported with rabies could infect people and other animals and could cost more than $500,000 to contain. So why is it important now? The CDC updated its dog and cat importation regulation in 2024 to protect the health and safety of people and animals and prevent the reintroduction of dog rabies in the U.S. The updated regulation will help keep Americans and their pets safe. It addresses recent challenges seen with international dog importations, including the challenges posed by fraudulent documentation. Honey, the fraudulent documentation. It be crazy, okay? Crazy. Okay, so you don't want that. Just do the right thing by your pet. I promise you. I promise you. You're going to be happy in the long run that your dog actually has the vaccines that are needed. Okay. Not no fake documentation that you got from, a fake vet that ain't even practicing, or, a vet that ain't even practicing no more, but taking some money on the side, allegedly, in my opinion, to go in and give you some falsified documentation so you can get your dog where you need to get your dog. No, just go in and do it the right way, okay? Because you don't want a shadow of a doubt. You don't want nobody questioning what you know is true and right and correct, okay? Now, the high risk countries, okay, for dog rabies. Let me close out what I don't need anymore. Okay, so I'm not going to go through this whole list, okay? But you can pause to see if your, country is there. They are in alphabetical order. We got Afghanistan starting it off, okay? We got Afghanistan starting with the A's. We got Bangladesh starting with the B's. We got Cambodia starting for the C's, and so on and so forth. Okay, so yeah, let me keep scrolling down. Y'all can pause to see if your place is there. Okay, and we're gonna scroll back up so you guys, so y'all can pause and see if your country is on the high risk level. Okay, now the new rules coming up from August 1st, 2024 onward, what your dog needs to enter the US at a glance. Okay. Starting on August 1st, 2024, entering or returning to the US, the dogs must meet new specific requirements depending on where they have been in 6 months before entering the US and where they received their rabies vaccine. So those are key. Okay. Those are the two things, where they've been in the past 6 months before entering the US and where they received their rabies vaccine. Okay. Now, required for all dogs. All dogs must be at least 6 months of age at time of entry or return to the United States, have an implanted International Organization for Standardization ISO compatible microchip. Okay, microchip your dogs. Okay, listen, the collars is okay with the phone number and all that. But no, when you traveling, like you getting on a plane, you traveling to all these different places, honey, microchip. I recommend microchipping anyway, just in case something happens to your dog. Somebody finds your dog, they can scan it for a microchip and be able to contact you and let you know, hey, I have your dog. Or if your dog is stolen and you believe that the dog is yours, an easy scan could say, hey, this is her dog, So I recommend microchipping. Y'all could still do the collars if you want to. You could do both. I do both collar and microchip. So yeah, I highly recommend microchipping. But now you know the requirements. Y'all gotta microchip them. So just go and get it done. Okay, and the microchip number must be documented on all required forms and all accompanying veterinarian records. Okay, I remember having to write that daggone microchip down on all these forms, like the flight, the dog getting on the airplane, their forms, their personal forms that they have, all that documentation that you got to put in, and then a veterinarian sign off on it, double check, make sure all the numbers is correct and all that, and then sign off on it. But yes, writing them long digits, honey, just go on and on and on and on and on. You got to keep writing on every single paper, but you got to do it. You got to do it. Everything much must match, So yeah, the dog must appear healthy upon arrival. Dogs may not enter the US if they are carrying a disease contagious to people. Isolation of the dog, veterinarian examination, and additional testing at the importer's expense. So, yeah, your expense may be required to determine if the dog has a contagious disease and prevent spread if the dog does not appear healthy upon arrival. You do not want to show up to these places with your dog sick, okay? Try to get what you need to take care of taken care of by the vet where you're located. Okay, you don't want to have your dog turned away because they sneezing and they eyes is runny and they droopy and lethargic and look like they finna pass out. Okay, absolutely not. Don't show up with your dog there. Okay, like that. Have a CDC dog import form receipt. This form should be filled out online, ideally 2 to 10 days before arrival. However, it can also be completed right before travel, even in line at the border crossing, if you have internet access. If the information on the form changes before the dog arrives, you must submit a new form and indicate you are making changes to an existing form. All information, including port of entry where the dog is arriving, must be correct at time of arrival. This form requires you to upload a clear photograph of the dog showing its face and body. Dogs that will be less than 1 year of age at time of arrival should have the photograph taken within 10 days before arrival. There is no charge to importers for submitting this form. Okay, so make sure y'all get the CDC dog import form receipt. You'll make sure y'all get that done. Everything is on the CDC website. But yeah, and there's no charge to do that. Okay. Have additional documentation which varies depending on where the dog has been in the 6 months before entering or returning to the US, or if the dog has current rabies vaccine administration in the United States. Okay, dogs that do not meet all entry requirements or do not have accurate and valid forms will be not denied entry to the US and returned to the country of departure at the importer's expense. These requirements apply to all dogs, including service dogs and dogs that were born in the United States. Y'all have to really understand that your service dogs, your service animals are required to have this information. I know sometimes, hold up, let me pull myself up real quick. I know sometimes um these people, with the service animals, they hello Ziax, hello. Sometimes these people with the service animals be thinking they is above the rules, honey. They think they be above the rules sometimes, and I'm just speaking facts. This is no shade, okay? But they be thinking they above. Oh, well, my dog isn't a regular dog. My dog is a service dog, and it's like, okay, but do you have your paperwork? Does it have the required stuff, okay, to get into to the US? I'm sorry, sir, but like this is the rules. Like, what's going on? So sometimes they be thinking they be above, okay? So service animal people, you ain't above, love, okay? So let's see here. Let me see if I want to go through this one. This is the documentation. Um okay, so let's break it all down because, like I said, key factor is where the dog has been and the rabies vaccine. Okay, so first up, we have requirements for dogs with a current and valid rabies vaccination administered in the United States. Your dog's been here already in the US, they got a vaccine. Okay, you know, okay, so dogs with a current rabies vaccination administered in the United States that have been in a high risk country. Okay, so your dog has the rabies vaccine, but you guys visit a high risk country, right? They have to meet all requirements in the all dog section that I just read above, have a certificate of US issued rabies vaccine form that was endorsed by a USDA by the USDA before the dog departed the United States. Okay. Do I need to break all of that down? No, I'm not. We moving on to the next bulletin. Arrive at the location listed on the CDC dog import form receipt. This can be an airport, land, border crossing, or seaport, but you must select this location when you complete the CDC dog import form. Okay. Dogs with current rabies that was administered in the United States that have not been in a high risk country in the last 6 months. They've been chilling, low risk, okay, countries. They must meet the requirements in the all dog section, have one of the following documents: a certificate of US issued rabies vaccine, endorsed by USDA, endorsed by the USDA before the dog departed the US, or a USDA endorsed export health certificate. The export certificate must demonstrate the dog is 6 months of age or older. List the microchip number in either B for the dog's rabies free or low risk country where the dog's return itinerary or originated. The form will only be valid for 30 days if it does not contain rabies vaccination information or document a valid uninspired rabies vaccination administered in the United States. The form will be valid for the duration of the rabies vaccination, so 1 or 3 years. Okay. Arrive at the location listed on the CDC dog import form receipts. Okay. Like I said before, it could be any airport, land, border crossing, or seaport, but must select this location when you complete the CDC dog import form. Okay. Um, Important information about the certification of U.S. issued rabies vaccination form. Let's get into that. Ensure your dog will be at least 6 months of age on date of return to the US. Have your dog microchipped, okay, with the ISO compatible microchip implantation before any required rabies vaccinations, okay? Get the microchip before you get the rabies vaccine, okay? Remember that. Get the microchip before you get the rabies vaccine. It says that clearly throughout this paperwork several different times. Okay. Once your dog is at least 12 weeks, 84 days of age, have a USDA accredited veterinarian vaccinate your dog against rabies with a US licensed vaccine in accordance with manufacturer instructions. Okay. So, and make sure the vet scans the dog for the microchip and records the microchip number at the time of the vaccine appointment. Rabies vaccine administered prior to the microchip implantation will not be considered valid. Okay. Rabies vaccines administered prior to the microchip will not be valid. So please listen, key microchip first, rabies vaccine second. Okay. Make sure y'all remember that. I want y'all to remember that, because some people will be like, oh, let me just go ahead and get the rabies and get it out the way. We could worry about the microchip later. No, these people want you to have the microchip first. Okay. And ensure the rabies vaccination will be valid for the entire duration of your travels. If your dog's US issued rabies vaccination lapses while overseas and your dog has been in a high risk country in the past 6 months, your dog will need to be revaccinated overseas and meet requirements for foreign vaccinated dogs to return to the US, including having a rabies serologic here we go. Here, I said this word, I pronounced this word like so good before the live, and I was like, I know I'm gonna pronounce it wrong once the live come on. Okay, serolog. Hold on, let me tell Google, tell me how to say it again, girl. Please tell me. Serology. Okay, the serology titer. Okay, arriving at a specific port or entry and possible quarantine requirements. Your dog's first rabies vaccination must be administered at least 28 days before travel. Have the USDA accredited veterinarian that administered the rabies vaccine to your dog complete the certification of US issued rabies vaccination form. Your dog must travel with a printed copy of the official endorsed form upon your dog's return to the United States if your dog has been in a high risk country within the 6 months before returning to the US. Okay, it's a lot, and they do have a little checklist or whatever for you guys. Okay. Next up, we have requirements for foreign vaccinated dogs that have been in a country with high risk of dog rabies within 6 months before entry. Okay. So these include service dogs, all of that. Okay. And this is dogs that have been in a country at a high risk for dog rabies within the 6 months before entry and do not have appropriate documentation of current U.S. issued rabies vaccines. Okay, they have to meet all requirements in the all dog section, have a complete certification of foreign rabies vaccination in microchip form. Okay, which ensure the dog is microchipped, verify the dog is at least 12 weeks old, 84 days old of age when vaccinated against rabies. The dog must have a valid non-expired rabies vaccination. If it's the dog's first vaccination, or if the dog's vaccination covered has lapsed, the vaccine must be administered at least 28 days before arrival to the United States. The certification of foreign rabies vaccination and microchip form must be completed by your veterinarian and endorsed by official veterinarian in the exporting country. Have a valid rabies serology. Girl, tell me again. Tell me again. Listen, the rabies serum test, okay? A serum titer, okay? Must have and it has to be have a has to have been drawn at least 30 days after the dog's first valid rabies vaccination and at least 28 days before entry to the US. Dogs with a history of multiple valid rabies vaccinations administered after the microchip was placed may have the sample for the rabies titer drawn at any time after a rabies booster vaccination, as long as the dog's first vaccine was given at least 30 days before the blood sample was drawn and there has been no lapse in the vaccine coverage. If the lapse occurs, the sample must be drawn at least 30 days after the valid booster vaccination was administered. Okay, so that's all of that. That's all of that. You got to get the rabies titer test and all that. We're gonna skip all of that. Basically, it's just breaking down the rabies stuff. But you have to have a reservation. This is another one that's very important. You have to have a reservation at a CDC registered animal care facility for examination and revaccination and quarantine if the dog does not have a valid rabies titer test. Okay, all foreign vaccinated dogs, at high risk country in the previous 6 months must have a reservation for examination. Okay. And all CDC registered animal care facility expenses, including exam, revaccination, and quarantine, if required, are responsible for the importer. So responsible for the person that's bringing the dog over. Okay, the facility will need copies of all required documentation prior to confirming your reservation. Ensure your dog meets any facility specific requirements. You got to contact the facility for additional information about that. And yes, make sure that your dog have no evidence of illness, and they look healthy, right? You also had to have an international flight that arrives directly at the airport with the CDC registered animal care facility where the dog has a reservation. Okay, dogs must arrive in the US at the airport where the CDC registered animal care facility is located. This must be the location where the dog has a reservation. I just said that. Why they keep repeating the same thing over and over again? This must also be the airport listed on the CDC dog import form. Okay, import form. Everything has to match on this documentation. Like, that's one thing that y'all also has to really think about and make sure everything has to match. Everything. Okay. So it ain't, it's just not checking one time. You have to check multiple times for these things. Okay. Domestic flights or other forms of travel to the locations in the US are not permitted until after the dog receives required follow-up services at the CDC registered animal care facility and is cleared for entry. Okay. Now, service dogs arriving by sea. Service dogs, as defined in 14 CFR 382.3, may arrive by sea if they meet the requirements in the all dog section, have a complete certification of foreign rabies vaccination in microchip form, and a valid rabies serum titer, and are traveling with their handler. Emotional support animals are not service animals under this definition. So, emotional support animals do not that are not covered by service animals. Okay, make sure y'all know the freaking difference. Okay, y'all, they have tightened up on these service dogs and emotional support animals. They have tightened up on the laws with these. So if you do not have a legit service dog and you just say, oh well, my dog is an emotional support animal, like, it's not gonna fly. Okay, now let's get into, we got to finish that list. They have the little checklist. However, I want to get into the facilities. Okay, that you may possibly need to have your dog, fly into, that's like on the form. Okay, if you gotta have a reservation. Atlanta, Georgia, we got Dandy Scotty Kennel. LAX, California. Okay, Kennel Club, LAX, Ruse Kennels at LAX. We got Miami, Florida, Pet Limo. We got New York, JFK, the Arc Pet Oasis, Washington, D.C., Pender Pet Retreat, and Philadelphia Gateway Animal Care Center. Okay, these are the CDC registered animal care facilities that you will have to pick on your CDC form, import form, and you won't have to fly in with your animal. Okay, so yeah. Now, let's get back to it. Hold up. Okay. Let's get back to it. Okay. So requirements for dogs that have been only been in countries that are dog rabies free or low risk during the 6 months before entry. Okay. Dogs, including service dogs, all of that. Okay, they must meet all the requirements and all in the all dog section. Have one of the following. Any documentation that is not from the U.S. must be completed in the country where the dog's travel originates. Okay, so they need a certification of foreign rabies vaccination in microchip form, or two veterinary records which list the microchip number for the dog from the exporting country for the previous 6 months. This form must be completed within 30 days before the arrival to the United States. Okay. Also have what else we have? A certification rabies vaccination form that was endorsed by the USDA before the dog departed from the United States. A valid USDA endorsed export health certificate that either is for the dog rabies free or low risk country where the dog's return itinerary originated. Okay. Document a valid unexpired rabies vaccination administered in the United States. Okay. It's a lot. It's a lot, honey. Okay. Foreign export certificates document that the dog is at least 6 months of age. Arrive at the location listed on a CDC dog import form that can be any airport, land, border crossing, or seaport, but you must select it on the form. Okay. Make sure your dog ain't looking sick and all of that. You already know. Okay, so any documentation that is not from the U.S. Must be completed in the country where the dog's travel originates. For example, if the dog's documents were issued in France, the dog may not enter the U.S. via a land border crossing from Mexico to the U.S. Oh, wow. Oh, that's crazy. Oh, it is a lot, honey, period. Like, you can't be coming up in here with all of that. Now let's get into it's a lot, y'all, but like I said, I'm gonna leave the timestamps. Okay, so from August for how long we'll be on, how long is the stream, where we at, 28 minutes? Okay, we good time. But from August 1st onward, required documents for bringing a dog into the United States. Look, um this is going to be real quick. Required documents for dogs with the current rabies vaccination administered in the United States that have been in a high risk country for dog rabies within the 6 months before entry: a CDC dog import form receipt, a certification of U.S. issued rabies vaccination form, yes, and a USDA endorsed export health certificate that documents the dog's age, at least 6 months old, microchip number, and the valid rabies vaccination administration in the US. So yeah, now required documents for dogs that departed the United States and have been only in dog rabies free or low risk countries during the 6 months before the entry: a CDC dog import form receipt, and one of the following: a rabies vaccination form, or the form must be completed by a U.S. accredited veterinarian, and all of that, and or a USDA endorsed health export certificate that documents the dog's age, microchip number, all of that good stuff. Require forms for dogs that have been in a country at a high risk for dog rabies within the 6 months before entry. A CDC dog import form receipt, certification of foreign rabies vaccination and microchip form. Is a lot of repeating, but I just want to make sure you guys are up to date, because it was what your dog, the last thing that we read was what your dog needs, whatever, far as vaccines and all of that. But this part is strictly like documentation, right? Okay, so and also a confirmation of reservation at a CDC registered animal care facility. Optional in addition to above forms to avoid a 28-day quarantine at a CDC registered animal care facility. You can get your dog rabies titer test from a CDC approved laboratory. Okay, so your dog won't have to be quarantined, but it's all up to the veterinarian, it's all up to the doctor that sees your dog. Okay, required documents for dogs that have been in only countries that are dog rabies free or low risk during 6 months before entry, and do not have a certification of US issue rabies vaccination form or USDA endorsed export health certificate. Option one, you need a CDC dog import form receipt, certification of dog arriving from DMRVV free or low risk country into the United States form. All of these forms is right here on the CDC. Veterinarian records, including microchip number for the previous 6 months, or option two, CDC dog import form receipts. Okay. Certification of foreign rabies vaccination and microchip form, or option valid rabies titer test or veterinary records including microchip for the previous 6 months, or option three, CDC dog import form receipt, the foreign exports certificate endorsed by official veterinarian, or veterinarian records including microchip number for the previous 6 months. So yes, was this helpful? Yes, thank you. I appreciate you. But yeah, that's what's going on with the dogs, honey. It's just you are going to have to do this. You're gonna have to do the CDC form. Um, listen, is a lie. You're gonna have to make sure your dog is microchipped. Rabies vaccine. Okay, so you know key things, make sure you get what the microchip before you get the rabies. Okay, so when your vet does all of that, make sure they document dates, the dates are correct. Boom, this is the date that is happening that you got your microchip, and then you get your rabies. If you get the rabies before the microchip, your dog will not be allowed in the United States. I want to say shout out to the vets and all the vet techs and vet assistants that travel to these different countries that help these animals that are in high risk rabies places. I wanted to do one so long ago. Oh my goodness. I had a doctor. Shout out to Dr. Lee. Oh, I love her. She was like, just when I was working at the animal hospital, and she was like, we be traveling and we be helping the animals and stuff, and the vet techs and the vet assistants be bringing the blow up beds, and they be all in South America just helping. And I wanted to do that at one point in time, but I was just like, I was doing a lot of other things, and I was a mom at that time. I was like, girl, I cannot leave my baby to go help y'all give these dogs shots in South America. You should have told me before I had a baby, girl. But yeah, shout out to the vets and all of them that go to these different countries and lend a hand in trying to help with these dogs, making sure they don't get rabies, helping them have their vaccines, making sure they have all of the things that they need to come to the United States or go to other countries to find a good home. So shout out to the vets, and shout out to the people that's trying to keep the rabies okay at bay. Shout out to the CDC. Okay, shout out to the health people in this particular instance. Okay, shout out to them. Okay, wink wink. Them in regards to other stuff that be going on, side eye. But in this particular instance, shout out to them for trying to keep the rabies keeping it away, keeping it at distance, okay, since 2007. So nobody wants dogs coming over here, any type of animal coming over here, with rabies, and then affecting humans, and then then it gets out of control. Absolutely not. That's not what we want. Y'all want zombies walking around here? No, we don't. Okay, we don't want that. So not zombies foaming at the mouth. Like, no, that's not what we want. We don't want to be living, okay, Walking Dead, The Last of Us, and all of this and all of that. Okay, shout out to all the zombie movies and all of that, because I love a good zombie show, honey. I love a good zombie movie. I love a good zombie game. I do like zombies, but I don't want my animal as a zombie, and I don't want y'all out there like a zombie. Okay, let's not. And the only way we can test for rabies is if you get in the brain. You gotta cut the and okay, let me tell y'all, okay, a story. This girl was like, don't let nobody see this or whatever. I still have the video, honey. But when I was working at the animal hospital, a senior vet tech, they had to do that. They had to, make sure that the cat did not have rabies. So she had to around the neck. It took a little while, and then we had to send it off to the lab. You got to send the whole head off to the lab. So, and then they got to get up in the brain and stuff. So we do not want to be, decapitating heads, animal heads. Okay, Pauls. We do not want to be doing that. Okay, we want to love on them. We don't want to have to be doing all that. We don't want to euthanize any animals. Like, we don't want that to happen. Okay. So I would rather y'all have their vaccines in order, have all of their stuff in order. Okay. So y'all ain't got to go through all of that. You don't want to have to go through all that. And you don't want to, excuse me, you don't want to have to quarantine your animal and your animal is away from you. And it's just a lot. Like, you don't want that. So I just want y'all guys to make sure that you guys are just up to date on these things, taking these things very, very seriously, because they are not playing around. They will turn your dog away. They will turn your dog away. You think you're ready to just come up in the United States with your dog, and things are not set in order like they are. Okay, it's not happening. So I don't want y'all, I don't want your dogs, your animals, to be stuck at these ports or at these places away from you, don't know what's going on, are scared. So you just want to save your animal the heartbreak and the trauma and all of that, especially if you got an animal. Some of them animals, when they traveling, they do really bad. They have anxiety and stuff. So you don't want to put your pet in a situation that you don't have to. Just be a responsible pet owner, because when you have these animals, you have to be really responsible. You're literally taking care of a creature, a being that cannot for itself. So they thinking that they with their owner, they just traveling and things is going how they gonna go. They look to you to feed them, to protect them, to make sure all of these things are in order. So make sure all of these things are in order, so y'all don't have to be separated from each other, and y'all can come back to the United States, or they can come to the United States for the first time and live the American pet dream. Okay. Where they become TikTok famous, and where they become pet celebrities and whatnot, just living the dream. Okay. Yeah. But I just want to make sure you guys are informed with all of this. That's why I came through, to let you guys know what's going on. But make sure you guys like the stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more animal news and research. Like the stream, share the stream. Y'all already know. Make sure y'all leave some comments. I will have the CDC website linked in my bio, just in case you guys want to click it and go there and check out everything. Like I said, they have a checklist, and just read, y'all. Read. If I don't tell you anything else, but read and double check every single thing, okay? You don't want the microchip number to be off by one number. No, you don't. Make sure everything is right, okay? We love your pets. We love y'all. We want y'all, traveling, safely, okay? See ya, Ziak. See ya. Make sure you guys like the stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Okay. Y'all already know. Love yourself, one another, your pets, and the animals. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye. Will I go live tomorrow? Tomorrow is Thursday. I may go live. Okay. So love yourself, one another, your pets, and the animals. The dogs that's coming over from the other countries that's been traveling. Make sure y'all love on them too. Okay. Bye.